This week in AMVs is brought to you by Chaotic Bad Raptor Productions. Yes, we really are just that awesome. Hello everyone, and thanks for joining me on another episode of This Week in AMVs. I'm Nate, your host, and I want to welcome you to another Topic Tuesday. Topic Tuesday is where I go over a topic that pertains to the world of fan-created music videos. Topics could range from something as granular as how to use the pen tool in After Effects, or something as broad as, well, how to have fun making AMVs, and pretty much anything else. I'll pull from a list of topics that I've come up with myself, as well as those that have been submitted by you, the viewers. So please do go ahead and keep your comments, your topic suggestions coming my way, because, well, without them, there might not be future Topic Tuesdays. So, hey, you never know when you might be the submitter of the next topic that I pick. So, how about we get started with today's topic? And, well, today's topic's actually something I recently come up with due to what's happening over the last few days, at least for me, editing-wise. Basically, we're going to talk about what's called Iron Chef competitions. And this can lead into future talks about normal competitions, normal contests and whatnot. But mainly we're going to talk about what's normally known around as the Iron Chef, the Iron Editor. It's probably one of the biggest challenges, honestly, that comes out as far as music video editing happens. And it's, in my opinion, actually one of the best ways in order to really hone your technique and actually work on maybe getting you a little bit quicker at editing. I know of myself, from what I've done, has actually really helped my editing stream and my whole flow and how I actually handle projects, and makes things a little bit easier. Some people are good at it, some people aren't quite as good at it, but it's this Iron Chef. Now, what is an Iron Chef? Well, if you ever have watched Food Network back in the day, and even now, they used to have what they called Iron Chef on the Food Network, which was a show, a Japanese show, where they would pit two chefs against each other, gave them 60 minutes in order to make a meal, and they would give them what they called the secret ingredient. And the secret ingredient would be this one ingredient that they would have to use in all of their dishes, and in the end, as far as judging was considered, that ingredient needed to be basically the center focal point of the whole entire meal. Everything needed to have it in it, so that you get like an ingredient of maybe pasta, or an ingredient as halibut, or something really odd and weird like ostrich eggs or something like that, and your whole meal has to be centered around that. It then got brought over to the U.S., and U.S. Food Network created what they called Iron Chef America, and it's pretty much the exact same thing. And it's taking this idea of the Iron Chef and applying it to the world of music video editing. My first time that I had actually seen an Iron Chef competition was actually at Anime Central in 2004. I believe it was still known as Iron Chef, but the group that did that actually wound up calling themselves Iron Editor. And they actually do their show at quite a few different conventions. Anime Week in Atlanta, Otakon. They used to do it at Anime Central, not over the last couple of years due to some issues with the fact of there being a lack of an AMV department and a lack of an AMV room. I think they're holding out at SakuraCon, Anime USA, and it's just just a couple of people who do those, and then there are a bunch of other Iron Chef competitions that happen at conventions all over the place. I run one called AMV Wars that I have run at multiple conventions in the Midwest, and the main convention it winds up happening at is at not Anime Central, at Youmacon. We'll do a hentai competition as well as the regular competition, a bunch of other different things. But what you do is we take this idea of this Iron Chef, the original Iron Chef, and we make it, friendly for video editors. Well, in 1 hour to make a video, that's really, really pushing it. So usually most Iron Chefs, the general formula is you get 2 hours at it. At least this is the way the live shows wind up going. You'll get 2 hours to make a video. You'll be provided a secret source, which is an anime, essentially, that has to be used in the video. And then also, in order to mix things up a little bit, you'll be given a central theme usually that you have to edit to. The theme could be, you know, Revolution. One year at Anime Central, there was this one called was Revolution, and it was supposed to be, you know, the theme was supposed to be like, you know, having an actual revolution, revolutionizing something. And one of the editors, if I remember, it was SuperIC, who was editing at the time, and he actually took a different spin on it. Quite literally, it was Revolution that he had done. And that was a really interesting take on the idea, and it could be something else entirely. I know for AMV Wars, we tend to have weird, quirky ones, like why is Twilight so popular? Video that lost its budget halfway through. You know, interesting little themes like that we throw in there. And basically give the editors a couple hours in order to make a video to that. There are multiple other variations to this formula. That's usually what happens when the competitions are at cons. However, when it's online, as there are a lot of Iron Chefs that happen online, things wind up being a little bit different. You may still have the 2-hour stringent part on it. You only have 2 hours to edit and make your video. But instead, rather than having a secret source material that somebody has to use, they'll give them the secret source will actually be an audio, it will be a song, and say, okay, here you go, here's your song, you have to edit to this one song. And that's where they kind of left that. And there could be other variations too. There could be ones where you're given a selection of songs, and you have to pick one of those songs from that, and a bunch of other different things. And, you know, what I'm bringing up here is you could do a very, very cool and fun things by using this Iron Chef competition. And over this past weekend, Corn Dog VidVids holded this competition. There's this Iron Chef competition. There was a 3-day competition. Basically, it gave everyone 3 days to edit. And it had some interesting twists involved. Basically, you went in and you said, okay, sure, I'm going to do it. And then you picked a Corn Dog VidVid studio member in order to be the judge. And they would be the ones submitting, basically giving you the audio that you could choose. They had a selection of songs that you could choose from. And then they gave you this editing style that you kind of want to go with. It's not quite so much as pandering to that person as it is trying to almost emulate their style, the things that they like, in order to make a video, and making the best video with the song choices that they have. It became very, very interesting. You know, it's all of a sudden it's like, okay, here you go, starting at midnight, here's your song choices. Now you got to rip your footage, get it converted, get it all ready, figure out what you're going to do, which song you're going to edit to, and then make your video and get it all submitted. The entries were all due as of last night, Monday night. They were all due for, and I actually entered the competition. I entered for Zephyr Star's competition because his idea of what he liked in music sounded more similar to what I liked, and I wanted to try and, in a way, kind of emulate some of the style that he's done in the past, and just his ideas of what he wanted in a video fit what I was looking to possibly do. And hey, I wanted to challenge myself a little bit. I generally make very simple AMVs. I don't use a lot of effects works and things like that, and so I wanted to challenge myself and do something interesting and new. And well, I needed something to do over the weekend while I was away from my apartment here, away from the house, and that's what I decided to go ahead and do. And it was definitely a lot of fun to sit down and make a video. Granted, yeah, I had 3 days, which is definitely a whole lot more than what we usually have, only 2 hours, for whenever I do an Iron Chef normally. So it was definitely fun to sit down and have this extra time in order to make a video. I don't know if I talked about, there was the Quickening competition, which was an Iron Chef Lite competition. There's Project Org Editor, which is also an Iron Chef Lite competition, but both those competitions, basically you get a week to make your video, and they'll have like a theme or a song choice that has to be used, or something like that that'll actually wind up going through. In the past, there's been the Brad's Iron Chef, online Iron Chef tournament that happens on AnimeMusicVideos.org, where basically you'll pit you get this huge bracket and they pit 2 people against each other and they have to edit at the same time, and it's all handled online. Say, okay guys, pick 5 anime sources that you want, and you'll sit there and you'll roll your sources the day before, and it'll be randomized and say, okay, you have to use source number 3 on your list. Then you convert your video the next day, you come in, I believe it was 30 minutes before your scheduled start time, you would get your audio choice, which would give you time to listen it over, kind of get some ideas of what you want to do, convert it to whatever format you need to convert it to in order to play, because some people can't edit with MP3s or would rather edit with WAV files or some other different file format. So it gives you time to actually convert it to what you want. And then, bam, here you go, 2 hours, make your video. Once you were done, it was like, okay, that's it, you're done editing, get exporting, submit the video, and then it gets judged by judges, and whoever wins moves on to the next round, and continues on like that. I have entered in multiple of these before, too. On AnimeMusicVideos.org, there's actually an IRC channel that is run by members from the org. I'm part of this channel, too. It's called SuperIC. And basically, it's a channel dedicated to hosting online Iron Chefs, and actually works really well. The chat environment actually works fairly well for doing Iron Chef type competitions. Be like, okay, guys, hey, I want to do an Iron Chef. Who wants to join me? And it's literally, okay, sure. Who's going to give us a song? Okay, you give us a song. And then say, okay, when do you guys want to start? Well, we'll start here in about 10 minutes. And 10 minutes come in, okay, time to start. 2 hours, 2 hours worth of editing. You're done, you export, upload it, send it to people, and then a bunch of people sit down and judge. It all works out as this fun little way in order to essentially edit a video. And if you've never done an Iron Chef before, I recommend actually looking out some of these resources and seeing if you can actually do one. Maybe say, hey, you, my editor friend that I know on YouTube, hey, why don't we have an Iron Chef together? Well, what's an Iron Chef? Well, here's an Iron Chef. Let's do this. Let's sit down and say, okay, over the course of, we'll give ourselves 24 hours. I know the Germans, the German group, they actually do this Iron Chef competition that happens in when do they do it? Sometime in December usually, where basically you get 24 hours to edit. It's a 24-hour Iron Chef. It's actually hentai based for those of you perverts in my audience who want to join in on something like that. They'll actually say, okay, you got this amount of time, make a video in this amount of time, and just see what you can come up with. And some very interesting hentai videos I've seen have come out of this competition. And that's actually the real cool, fun point of this, is by going out and trying to do an Iron Chef, you're actually challenging yourself, putting constraints on yourself in order to see if you can push through, in order to make something new and interesting and original. It might not be something that you planned out for a very long time in order to make this video. Instead, it's something where it's spontaneous. You come up with the idea right then and there, and bam, you make your video. And, it may not be completely polished when the Iron Chef's done, and that's perfectly fine. You sit there, you make that video, and then you can go sit through and be like, okay, I need to do a little bit of polishing here, add maybe some more effects if I want to, clean up the footage a little bit more, maybe, work on some of the timing a little bit more, but for the most part, the groundwork of that video is all right there. Quite a lot of the videos that I've released over the recent years have been Iron Chef related. There was, the hentai video I am most known for, they call it Singing Parts. I basically did that as an Iron Chef competition at Youmacon, where I was going up against another editor, I think it was Valiant at the time, who basically the theme was what could make recess fun. Now, I'd come up with a similar an idea of something I wanted to do for it by listening to the Yoshi Story theme song while picking up a friend of mine from the airport for the convention. And I was like, you know what? I think this would go really well with hentai. And you can kind of see the weird craziness coming out of here. And effectively, I sat down and said, well, okay, how to make recess fun. You know what? I can fit this in and do my idea. And I made the video, and that video then got me into Chaotic Bad Raptor Studios. And from there, it's one of the hentai videos that I'm most known for. And it came out of an Iron Chef competition. There was a video I made called When Pigs Fly. That was from a Super Iron Chef competition. It's a SuperIC competition on the IRC channel that I had done and made that video. There's a video I'd come out with a few years ago called Admiration, where it was a 7.5 minute long Hajime no Ippo video. I did that in 2 hours, almost entirely. I mean, granted, the final version is definitely cleaned up, and I did a lot more work on it. I think I spent an extra, 3 or 4 hours on it. But the majority of that groundwork, the majority of everything, came out of that 2-hour Iron Chef. And yes, I did complete a 7-minute long video in 2 hours. It may not have been the greatest looking video. It may not have been the most tightly timed and effects laden and all that stuff, but it was a music video, and it's definitely interesting. I mean, you can sit there and you can push yourself and say, okay, how much footage can I put down in this amount of time? And of course, granted, yes, it really does help to know your source material. I knew Hajime no Ippo, I knew those scenes, and so it made it really easy to kind of go through and pull the specific scenes I wanted and putting them in the locations that I wanted. And that definitely helps too, but sometimes, you may not even know the source that you're going for, and you'll just sit down and actually make something else. It's always definitely an interesting idea trying to see, okay, what can I make with the time frame that I have? Because it's, okay, guess what, guys, it's time to start. You need to start now, and oh crap, I got 2 hours to think of a theme, to think of an idea, to grab my sources, grab my clips, throw them on the timeline, make sure the music's in there, all this other stuff, and it's definitely challenging. But through all of these Iron Chefs that I've done, I've actually sped up my editing. I used to take me a lot longer to make a video, and now it doesn't take me quite as long, and it's more because through doing these Iron Chefs, I'd gotten better and better at knowing what clips I wanted, picking out the proper clips, the proper spots in the timeline, and basically streamlining my editing technique. It gave me editing practice, and practice under that strict contingent that really actually makes something very interesting and fun to do. And that's why I recommend you guys go out there and actually try it. Pick somebody, challenge somebody. Maybe you got a studio out there. Go ahead and say, hey guys, let's sit down one day and make a video. I know Chaotic Bad Raptor does that a lot at times. Be like, hey, we're all hanging out together this weekend. Why don't we sit down and make a video? Just sit down and start editing. It's always fun to kind of do something like that, and that's really what these Iron Chefs are. Yeah, cool. It's a competition. It's always great to sit there and win, but the actual fact that you've sat down and done it and completed a video, that is one major triumph. Because honestly, most of us, as you guys should know, it takes a long time to make a video. You could be spending hours, months, years working on a video, and to sit down and make something in 2 hours, that's definitely something to actually think about, and something to something to applaud somebody for trying that out. And so I recommend you go ahead and, see if you can try something out like that. There are tons of things, competitions that happen on animemusicvideos.org, and so I say, hey guys, why not join in on those? Hopefully this year we'll have another Quickening competition that'll happen, hopefully coming up here in May, or further on beyond that. There most likely will be another Project Org editor. There may be another online Iron Chef competition. There may be another one of these Corndog VidVids Iron Chefs, or some of these other Iron Chefs that show up in the contest forums on animemusicvideos.org. And I say, go ahead and go there. It's one of the, it is one of the best places to find things like this. Find one that's open and join it and make that video and see how that goes. And maybe you just challenge yourself to a 2-hour Iron Chef. Say, hey, I've got this random anime sitting on my hard drive, this song. Let's just put 2 and 2 together and make a video. That could work too. Challenge yourself to a 2-hour Iron Chef and see what you can do. See what you can create. Maybe it's your next masterpiece. Who knows? Maybe it's something you can just throw away. In the end, it really doesn't matter, because you challenge yourself to editing, and that's the whole point of this. And that's really all I wanted to talk about. So go ahead and see if you can actually take a look. I'll link my video that I made to the bottom of this thread here on YouTube, and I'll go ahead and throw in the threads and some of the other Iron Chef competitions, so you guys can see some of the stuff that's come out from these previous competitions, and maybe you guys will join in next time. So, you know, what do you guys think? Any Iron Chefs that you guys have done, and what do you think of your experiences? Those of you who have actually done an Iron Chef, how do you think those have actually helped shape you as an editor? I want to know. I know it shaped me as an editor, and I love the fact that they happen. I love doing them. That's why I'm a moderator on SuperIC, and we'll actually jump in there from time to time. So, you know, go jump in and, you know, try out. Who knows? And, well, that's really about it for today's topic. So, hey, if you have any comments or suggestions about today's topic, or any other comment for that matter, send them my way. You can do so, as always, you can leave them in the comment sections below. You can do that both here on YouTube, up on the website, and as always, you can send them my way via Twitter. And of course, as always, I want to thank you guys for tuning in and listening to me blabber for a little bit here, and I hope to see you all again next time. This is Nate, signing off.